So, what are the keys to earning money in this new era we find ourselves in? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about on today's episode. Let's get started. Hey, messengers, welcome to the Market Your Message show. I'm your host, Jonathan Milligan, and author of the book, Your Message Matters. And I've got an exciting episode for you today, a guest, someone I've known for a long time that we're going to be bringing on very shortly. But before we do, don't forget, if you haven't grabbed a copy of my latest book, Your Message Matters, you can actually get a free copy. Just go to yourmessagemattersbook.com. All right, today I'm excited to bring on Bob Lotich. Bob is somebody I've known for a long time. In when it comes to internet years, it's probably decades of getting to know him. And we met in the world of blogging, and I've just followed his journey over the years. And Bob's a true friend. If you don't know Bob or you haven't heard of him, then you want to go check out seedtime.com. For the last 14 years, I believe, he's been sharing the lessons, and he's got a podcast, courses. He's had over 50 million readers, and Bob and his wife, Linda, live in Franklin, Tennessee with their 3 kids. And so I'm going to bring him on. Bob, welcome to the show, my friend.
Great to be here, Jonathan. Great to chat and connect again.
So we're going to talk today about 4 keys to earning more in the digital era. And what I love about this, you've also got a new book coming out. And by the way, grab a copy of this book, Simple Money, Rich Money, or Rich Life, Simple Money, Rich Life, Achieve True Financial Freedom and Design a Life of Eternal Impact. And what I love about it, I'm a practical guy. It's a 21-day kickstart. So it's like, it gives me that, like, I'm going to get something out of this book. And I'm sure we'll get into more of this book, but congrats on the book, my friend.
Thank you, man. You know as well as I do, it's a lot of work. It's a journey. So
Labor of love for sure.
Yep.
And I'll just say, just to start off, I don't know if you know this, Bob, I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but back in January, my wife and I were, like most people, beginning of the year, we're like, we can do better at budgeting our money and using our money. And I've followed profit first in my business for years, and it just brings so much peace of mind, but I couldn't figure out how to translate it to my personal finances to give me that same peace of mind. And we actually purchased your course, Real Money Method, and we use it to this day. Like, we've been using it straight up since January at the time of this recording. It's been amazing. So if you need a full testimonial, we are big believers in it.
I will get that for you. That's awesome.
We've got it all set up. It's just, it works for us.
Yeah, it works great, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It's grandma's envelope system for the new digital era.
Yeah.
And we're moving more and more to a cashless society. And so I've always just struggled with, well, how do we make that happen in a digital way with setting up different accounts and moving money around?
Yep.
And you guys figured it out. So kudos to you.
Well, yeah, it's great. And really, it's Linda, because we were doing it for years, and I just didn't think it was that interesting or unique or that helpful. And Linda's like, this is a big deal. Like, you need to create a course about this. And we did. And we've had like a couple thousand students go through it now. And and your story is not unique. Like, we hear that all the time. So I'm glad to hear that it's going well for you as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. So 4 keys to earning more in the digital era. Let's talk about this. So what would you say is key number 1?
So I think the first step here, I'm going to take you through a journey of my brother-in-law a little bit, because I think he's a kind of a good example to kind of take us through all these. So first one is to operate within your giftings. Okay. And so I believe that God has gifted each one of us with some specific skills, some specific talents, and we have the opportunity to work within them or not. And so, I remember I spent a lot of years of my early career working in a job that I was not gifted to do. And so it didn't matter how hard I worked. I could work, harder than the next guy, but I just wasn't naturally gifted at it. And so I wasn't thriving in that position. And it really, anybody who's been in a position like this knows the frustration where it's like you're working so hard, you're trying so hard, and it's just not going anywhere. And then on the other hand, once you get into work where you're actually gifted to do it, it feels like the wind is at your back. And it's such like, if you've ever done both, like, you know what I mean? It is so night and day different. And it almost begins to feel easy because it's like the wind's at your back because you're doing something that you're better than most people at. And so that's like kind of the first step. Now, in terms of my brother-in-law, this was kind of his journey as well. And like I said, it's just interesting. So he's a guitar maker. He builds guitars, and he's always kind of worked with his hands and worked with that. And so he noticed, he went to jazz guitar school at Webster University in St. Louis. And so he was there, and he's in this really prestigious kind of music school, and he didn't have a jazz guitar. And so he realized, all right, I need to get a jazz guitar, but they're pretty expensive. So what am I going to do? It's like, well, I've kind of been a carpenter, so maybe I'll build one. And so he ends up building one, and then he finds out that, oh wow, I actually really liked that. I actually liked it more than performance jazz that I was going to school for. And so he kind of like had this aha moment where he's like, all right, maybe this is the thing I'm actually gifted at. Maybe it's less about playing jazz and more about creating guitars for other people to play jazz. And so as and he kind of struggled through school, like just not really enjoying it. And, but meanwhile, he finds that he's loving actually building a guitar. So that was kind of like how he stumbled upon it. But yeah, but like we all have those things. And I think we have moments in seasons of our lives where we're not working within our giftings. But the point is, like, keep chasing that. Like, identify what it is you're gifted at, what God has wired you to do that you're uniquely good at, and keep running in that direction. Sometimes it takes a year, sometimes it takes a long time, but like keep running in that direction.
I love that. So I'm a big believer in like looking inward first instead of outward, right? It's so easy to go, outward, and you end up, trying to do something you're not good at, you don't enjoy, but maybe it can make you some money or maybe it can earn you something. And yet it seems like, that it's counterintuitive to like look at yourself first. But I mean, you gave a great example, and we've seen that time and time again of like there's got to be that underlying passion for something
Yeah.
to help you want to do it and to keep doing it. I think that's really key. Okay, love that. So what would be the next step? What's step 2 or key 2?
Yeah. So next step is continuing to learn and to hone your craft. Okay. So like once you've identified or once you get lined up and you're doing work in your sphere of competence, the thing that God created you to do, that's like, now, all right, we need to start developing that. Like God has given us this gifting, but just like the parable of the talents in the Bible, like we have an opportunity to do something with it. Like we can bury that, or we can actually increase it and turn it into something more. And so that's where learning and developing our craft. And so, and this can look like a lot of different things. So this might be traditional education, but it might not be. You know what I mean? And so in the case of my brother-in-law, coming back to his story, this actually meant, him not learning from a college, but it actually meant him learning from like becoming an apprentice to other guitar makers. And so he traveled all around the country and spent, weeks at a time with some of these really fantastic guitar makers to learn their secrets and to learn the craft of actually building a great guitar. And so it's going to look different, whatever your situation is. But like this might even be as simple as spending a lot of time on YouTube and like continuing to learn about your thing, or being subscribed to newsletters where you can get new and updated information about your topic or your industry. But the point is, like, you want to become a lifelong learner. Like, we need to take what God has given us and multiply it and push it to the next level.
I am a fan of this, and we are always on the same wavelength, Bob. That's what I think
I know,
that's why
aren't
we
we?
connect. Because here's why. So I'll give you an example. My 2 kids. So I've got a daughter in college, and she wants the college experience. She's going to the college experience, and you need to have college experience, right? I mean, we know that there's certain things like that aren't going to work for YouTube. Like you want to be a doctor, just go
Yeah.
watch YouTube
Yeah.
videos and then perform surgery on
100%.
someone. That doesn't work. But there's so many more things outside of that what you're talking about applies. And I'll give you an example. My son, he's 17. College is not in what he wants to do at all. We started homeschooling him in the 9th grade because we could tell that like school, the traditional school, wasn't working for him. He needed more self-directed learning. and stuff he was already interested in. So you know what he said? I love gaming. We bought. He found a guy on YouTube that he followed a lot, and he opened up a full-time game development course. He bought
Oh,
the
wow.
course. He's already created. My son's already created a couple of prototype games. We've got an LLC for him. We've set him up on
That's awesome.
Steam. He's already starting to build his email list. He's getting his YouTube channel set up, and he's going to use the college years
Yeah.
to build his business, which he's passionate about. And I mean, the stuff that he's learned with coding and art design, music theory, all of it's been self directed from him,
Yeah.
driven primarily from YouTube and purchasing courses.
I
And,
love it.
he's developing the skill set of doing this thing the rest of his life. So,
Yeah, and he's got such a head start over all the other kids going to four-year schools, and again, there's situations where you need that, but, uh, me, I wasted 4 years, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of people who did, where you go to all these years, spend all this money, and you don't actually use that degree, and he has such a head start being at 17, learning about business from his awesome dad, who's already really sharp. Yeah, that's really exciting.
yeah, it's that idea of like self learning, self feeding. And if you can develop that, like, I'm a Bible college graduate with a pastoral theology who decided to start a blog and knew nothing about blogging, marketing, online business, none of that. But yet I figured it out over time. And
Yeah,
that came
yeah.
because I decided to keep learning after college in the stuff that I felt gifted in or interested in. So, that's awesome. Key two, continue to learn.
That's
Number
so good.
three, what is key
Oh,
three?
yeah. So, yeah, number 3 is to solve significant problems or to make something better. You know what I mean? And so, like that's just a big advantage that I think we have when we can focus on solving a bigger problem. Because I think it's Elon Musk or something has a quote where he says, "Your income is directly proportional to the size of the problems that you're solving." And I think that's so interesting. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure it's not 100% always true, and there's always exceptions, but I think generally speaking, you find that to be true. And so in my case, I remember going through, or my last corporate job I was working at that I was not very gifted in. I was making $36,000 a year in this job. And I remember just, wishing like, I want to make more money. I feel like should make more money, even though I was hated my job and wasn't good at it and all this stuff. And a few years later after that, we went through the adoption process and we were hiring an adoption attorney. And we ended up having to hire two separate adoption attorneys, and both of them charged $400 per hour. Okay. So my $36,000 an hour last job that I had was actually what, $18 an hour or something like that. So I'm making $18 an hour, and these two attorneys are making $400 an hour. And I remember thinking, like, what's the difference here? Like, why are they making that much more money than me? And ultimately, it came down to I was not solving a really big and significant problem, and they were. Like, they were, like, indispensable. There were just a handful of the specialization that they had for adoption. Like, there were just a handful of them in the entire state. So, like, there weren't many options, and like they were just the one that you needed to go to. And me, I was very replaceable, and I wasn't solving a significant problem, and they were, and then you look at Elon Musk again, and it's like, all right, that dude is solving significant problems. It's no wonder he's the richest man in the world. He's trying to put people on Mars, and trying to do away with gas cars. Like, he's going after big stuff. And it's like, and we don't need to solve Elon level problems in order to really begin earning more money. We just need to start solving bigger problems and looking for bigger problems. And so this can be as simple as asking our bosses, like, all right, how can I make your life a little bit easier? Or if we are freelancers or something, how can, send an email out to all of our current clients. What other services would you like me to see me offer? Like, just continuing to find ways to solve problems for the people around you. And it's like, it's just one of the best ways to begin earning more money. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And you gotta, I love asking, ask people what's your
Yeah.
biggest challenge with this? I did this a couple years ago, and this is back in the day. Bob and I created a Blogging Your Passion University, and we sold that university for years. I did a survey, Bob. This was once you started going another direction as far as your business was
Yep.
growing, mine was growing. We were trying to figure it all out. But I remember asking them, like, what's your biggest challenge? And what I was shocked, I was shocked by the answer. Like, it was a smack my hand on my head moment. They said, I don't know what to blog about. Like, I am
Mhm.
struggling with choosing. And so here I'm thinking, like, hey, why aren't you purchasing my Blogging Your Passion University? And they're saying, I don't know what to blog about. So you know what we did? We created a
Yep.
course called Discovering Your Blog Niche, which later became Discovering Your Message. And that course killed it. It crushed it. And the whole time here I was thinking that I knew what was needed. I
Yep.
had the answers and I didn't. Like, my market knew what their challenges were. I just had to ask. So
Yep. That's so
so
good.
solve the problem, continue to learn, like we talked about key 2, about how
Mhm.
you can help solve that problem. And then
Yep.
what's key number 4?
Yeah. So the last one is to meet demand and to give people what they want. And so this is kind of tying into what you were just talking about. Um, but going back to this idea of like, let's take Amazon, for example. So if you go back to Amazon, I don't know when this was, maybe late 90s or something, when Bezos decided, all right, we're going to allow random people to come on our website and to leave reviews about the products that we're selling. Like they might leave bad reviews and so people won't buy a product. Like this was such a foreign concept before he did this. And we take it for granted now because we see reviews everywhere. But this idea, like he was serving the customer. He was saying, all right, they want that. This is going to make their life better, their shopping experience better. It's going to help them make a better purchase. And so even though it might cost us sales, if we have a product that's on the site that has terrible reviews, like we're going to do it because it's what customers want. And then, obviously the speed thing, like Amazon has been racing to get deliveries to us faster and faster and faster. And they're not even competing with anybody. Like there's anyone close who's like, we're going to try to get you stuff in 4 hours delivered. But they intentionally are going after what people want, which they know everyone always wants it faster. So they're just continuing to stretch themselves in that direction to better serve their customers and give them exactly what they want. And that servant first attitude, that serving mindset, you know, and it's not the only thing that has made Amazon the behemoth that it is, but it certainly has been a big player and a big part of their success.
Absolutely. I've never thought about that, like talking about the reviews and things like that. But
Yeah.
that is looking at the demand, understanding the demand side. Again, I think that's I often think about we both know Joseph Nicoletti, Joe,
Yep.
and the way his whole business started was a lot of what we're talking about here. So
Yeah.
he put a tweet out on Twitter years ago when he was working his day job and he was noticing that people were struggling with learning, writers were struggling to learn how to use Scrivener, the software.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so he thought, maybe this is an opportunity here, right? This is a big problem people are having. They buy this software, it's complicated, they don't know how to use it. Um,
Hmm.
there's a demand for it. People want to write books, right? And so what he did was he learned in that specific area. He dove head into learning Scrivener, created the course, and then started just going out to all these people who already had writers on their list and saying, "Hey, I'll do a webinar to teach you Scrivener." Ended
Yep.
up selling courses, and literally that right there, I think, is a great example of what you just shared. That
Yep.
literally launched his business in the matter of 12 months. He left his day job.
Yeah. Yeah. And a very successful business. And I mean, I don't know his exact numbers, but based on conversations we've had, I think he's doing a lot better than he was at his day job. Um, and that's, kind of what we're talking about here. It's like it's ultimately about serving other people and making that the priority. But within that, as we do that well, typically better earnings, higher earnings follow that.
I love it. So I want you to give just a kind of a preview of this book because I really want to encourage everyone to go grab a copy of this book. I've already told you how Bob's course revolutionized our personal finances. It just brought peace of mind to us in the budgeting aspect. Then having to do the old fashioned, let's make a budget on a spreadsheet and then figure out did it work, did it not, and then be frustrated because we didn't have a way to figure it out. But you've got this
Yeah.
book, Simple Money, Rich Life. Will you take a moment, tell people kind of the heart behind the book or what, the mission behind the book that you're looking for?
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, we don't have a copy yet, but look what I got, Jonathan. Look at that.
Ah, oh, you tricked me. It's
No,
just
we
a,
don't. No, we'll be getting a copy soon, but anyway, yeah, we're really excited about the book. Like we wrote it basically. It's a lot of our journey over the last 15 years of kind of what God's done in our life, and part of it is what we talked about, like learning how to earn more money. And so that was a big part of us being able to design a life of eternal impact, as we call it, where we want to be able to earn a lot of money, have a lot of money to be able to give a lot away. Like that's just a big part of what God has called Linda and I to do. And so that's a big part of what we're doing. And so the book is designed to essentially take someone, help them earn more money, help them reduce their expenses by spending smarter. And we give like all of our best strategies on how to do that and how to save time, manage money. And, some of the budgeting stuff we're talking about, we don't go into the whole course in there, but some of the highlights. And then also we just talk about, how we just, I went from someone who had no real interest in generosity and giving to it being like one of my favorite things in the world. like, and this book just kind of outlines that and how someone who, like me, kind of grew up stingy and not really interested in giving, like just learned to love it. So that's the gist of the book. It's like it's designed to help us have more money in our hands so that we can give more away.
awesome. Well, I'm excited about it. I'm getting my copy. And where should people go to get a copy? Do you have a certain place you want them to?
Yeah. So, a couple different, I mean, you can just go simplemoneybook.com. And so it's there. But at the same time, like one of the things that we did, we decided to create a little challenge. So we have 3-day money challenge that you can go to.com, 3daymoneychallenge.com. And you can just go there and we take basically our 3 best kind of takeaways from the book and you can just get them right there. And so you can check that out. And then if you like that, then you can get the rest of the book if you want. But it's a kind of way to kind of test drive the book and see if you think it's going to be for you.
I love it. And we're going to provide all the links. So if you're listening on the podcast, there's links in the show notes. If you're watching the YouTube video, there's links below. So we will make sure we get out those links. And Bob, this was awesome. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, brother. I appreciate it. As always, it's fun.
All right. So if you guys enjoyed that episode, let us know. And also take a moment, like, share, subscribe, or even review our show. And don't forget, your message matters. Bye-bye.